Philadelphia, you're in for a treat today. I'm here with the best, the first to ever do it, the MJ of cheesesteaks, Frank Olivieri. Frank,
how you doing?
How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. If I was doing any better, I'd be under investigation.
Hey, man, we don't want any of that. But hey, man, thank you for meeting with me. Hey, guys, you want a great cheesesteak? Come out here to Pat's. Located, where are we located right now?
So we are located at the base of the Italian Market, where 9th, Wharton Street, and Passyunk Avenue intersect. We're basically an island in the 3 street intersection.
Wow. And how did you pick this location?
Oh, I didn't pick it. It's been here since 1930. My great uncle Pat picked the location. He had a hot dog stand across the street. He sold hot dogs every day and ate hot dogs every day. And one day he wanted something different for lunch. And sent my grandfather down to the butcher to get some sliced meat. They put it on a hot dog grill with some onions and an Italian roll. That's what they had. Getting ready to take a bite, the cab driver rolled up and he ate hot dogs every day. And he said, "Wow, that's really great. Make me one." Uncle Pat said, "Well, I don't have enough money to make one for myself, but you can have half of this one since you eat hot dogs every day."
Yeah.
Broke the sandwich in half, gave it to the cab driver. The cab driver said, "Wow, forget about hot dogs. This is the sandwich you should make." That was the invention of the Philly steak sandwich.
And that was it. It just took off from there.
1930. That's when it was invented. Yep.
Wow. That's amazing. What do you think about being called the MJ of cheesesteaks? Because you guys were the first to do it.
Yeah.
You invented the game similar to the way MJ did.
Yeah, exactly. We my Uncle Pat invented the steak sandwich, and we had one of our employees a couple years later who put cheese on it, and we invented the cheesesteak sandwich, the cheese fries, because we had cheese, we had French fries, and everybody put the cheese on the fries. The customers saw it, they wanted it. So we are the original. We're the undisputed originator, pioneer, and inventor of the Philly steak sandwich.
Nice. So there's a little bit of a rumor going on.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to put an end to it, but word on the street is if you come to Pat's and you don't order correctly, you're sent to the end of the line.
Well, that's something we usually do with tourists. When they come up, it's just as a gag. Say if they come up and you order incorrectly, if you say, you don't know what you want, we send you to the back of the line so that you can get your order correct before you get to the front, because we work so quick.
So it's a speed thing, not necessarily a Pat's thing.
It's a speed and it's a Pat's like shtick that we've done for years.
Okay, nice. And I hear you throw the Philly accent on cheese wit.
Cheese wit, yeah.
Cheese without.
It's easier just to say W-I-T than W-I-T-H.
Okay.
So it's cheese without, Proby wit out, American wit out, steak wit out.
So that's not the Philly accent coming out.
We shorten everything in Philly.
That's what we do.
See, the people in Philadelphia don't have an accent. It's everybody else.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But when you go other places, they'll tell you a little bit different.
Yeah, they sound funny to me.
Yeah, same to me. All right, so I read some stuff about you, and I think you and I are pretty similar as far as your interesting marketing techniques. So, heard you had a mom breastfeeding a sandwich.
That was our Mother's Day ad. Yeah.
You had a woman waking up in bed with a sandwich.
Yeah, that was our Valentine's ad.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, because I couldn't believe this when I heard it, but you had a man cover himself in cheese and make a cheese angel in the middle of the street.
Yeah, that's when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Yeah, he wanted to know if he could make a cheese angel in the middle of the street, and he wanted to buy a bag of Cheese Whiz, and we gave him the Cheese Whiz, and it was kind of messy, but he poured the Cheese Whiz all in the street and made a Cheese Whiz angel in the street.
Wow, that's commitment. That's commitment to the city of Philadelphia. You can't get any better. That's deep, man. You're aligned with the city.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most outrageous things that I've seen done with Cheese Whiz. Although there are some that I can't really speak about.
We're gonna get into that.
I don't know.
We're gonna ask some questions about that one. All right, so now you said Pat started with hot dogs. What did the neighborhood look like back then?
So in 1930, what the Italian market in South Philadelphia looked like, none of the houses in the area had indoor plumbing. So everybody had outhouses in their backyard. And that lot across the street over there where the garden is, that was the public bathroom.
Wow.
So people would, wait till Wednesday, Saturday to take a bath or shower. They would go over there. They'd use their outhouse in the alley, but and then no one had refrigeration.
So they come by Pat's, get a steak or a hot dog, and then hit the outhouse.
Well, they hit maybe, but before Pat's was here, trolleys ran north, south, east, west all over the city. So people would shop fresh every day at the Italian market, buy food fresh. So they get off of the trolley, grab a hot dog off the Pat, and they go right up to the market and buy food fresh, and then and they would go about their business, taking the trolley back home.
Wow.
So then when Pat moved over here, this was actually a bar with a restaurant on the second floor and a produce stand on the back. And Pat eventually started working upstairs, serving people in the bar sandwiches. And more people, believe it or not, came into the bar to eat sandwiches than they did to drink. So the bartender said, cut a hole in the wall. Said, if you're eating, go outside. If you're drinking, stay inside. And that's how we started serving the sandwiches outside in 1930. And then eventually Pat took over the restaurant, took over the bar, took over the produce stand. We've been here since then.
So this area was pretty hustling and bustling, right?
It was pretty hustling and bustling. So across the street from us, where they built this new apartment building, there was a 137-year-old Lithuanian Catholic church.
Okay.
On the corner where the vacant lot is over there, across the street, was a funeral parlor. And this Capitola playground was actually a cemetery.
Okay.
So the building next to my building over there where the brown awning is used to be where you used to get your tombstones.
So you had to compete with the cemetery.
I had to compete with the cemetery. So it was basically like one-stop shopping. You died, you went across the street to the church, you went to the funeral parlor, you got your tombstone, they planted you in the park, and then you got a roast pork.
Hey,
cheesesteak.
That's exactly what we like to hear.
Yeah.
See, in Philadelphia, if the cheesesteak doesn't send you immediately to the grave, it was not made properly. We need that grease coming out.
It'll get you eventually.
There we go. That's what I like to hear, man. So the name Pat's, where did that come from?
What was from my Uncle Pat, since he was the older of the two brothers. It was Pat and Harry. Pat Olivieri, Harry Olivieri, who was my grandfather. Since he was the older one, he started the business. It was his name. So, but a funny thing, he didn't really have a lot of money. So at night, he worked at the Radio Flyer sled company, made sleds. My grandfather worked down at the Navy base, driving a forklift. And that's what they did on their off time when they weren't over here making sandwiches.
Forklifts, sandwiches. It seems to make sense.
It makes sense.
You add them together.
Yeah, listen, people back then, to make ends meet held 2-3 jobs. Right now, a lot of people, if there isn't an app on your telephone, you can't go to work.
That is very true. Very, very true.
The people like you get on the street and you hustle. You have to get out there. You have to make appointments. You have to schedule things. You have to physically talk to people. Texting is great.
Yeah. For
just saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be 5 minutes late for dinner. But when you're in a business where it's customer service like you are or like I am, your business depends on how you convey your ideas and what you do. And you can only do that by speaking to people. You can't do that.
You need that person to person.
You need that person to person. Like I had my real estate license for a very short period of time in New Jersey. And, I found customer service that I gave people during that time was important. Because you can hear the inflections in your voices. And, people are pretty savvy. They can hear when you're telling a lie like, oh, yeah, that water heater's new. But meanwhile, it's 25 years old.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, buyer beware.
Oh, 100%. Make sure you guys remember that statement right there. Buyer beware. It's the...
Oh, wait. This ambulance is going to Geno's right now. I think somebody just died eating a sandwich.
Hey, we are shooting on the sidewalk here. This is straight on the sidewalk, right in the middle of Philly. So you're going to get a little bit of background noise. Don't worry. It's Philadelphia. We love it. So the name Pat's. One brother lost the bet on this. How did he feel about not having his name on it? Was he okay with that?
Well, he was fine because Pat was the older brother, and my grandfather was only 11 at the time, so he really had any stake. No pun intended. He didn't have any stake to that.
Oh. All right. He's got some jokes out here. So they were already making cheesesteaks when you started?
Yeah, the cheese was put on a sandwich probably in the early 40s.
Okay, you started when?
I started, I'm 58. I started 46 years ago.
Okay, so that's 11.
Yeah, I was 11 years old. I still come to work on the weekends with my dad. And when I first started working, we didn't have tables on the outside. We just had counters around the building. So I used to walk around, if anybody can remember this, metal milk crate. I'd drag my metal milk crate around. Wow. You're probably not even old enough to remember that. And I'd wipe the counters, and they wouldn't let me inside because I was too short to work in front of the grill or the cash register. I couldn't see the numbers on the cash register.
You might need that for some sales.
Yeah, I might need that for some sales. So then I started working on the weekends, and then when I graduated from high school in 1982, I was on my way to France to go to culinary school to Le Cordon Bleu. And France, wow. Yeah, I wanted to become a classically trained French chef, which I actually am. I did that later in life. But I came over here and stayed for a summer and said, listen, I'm leaving in September. And then I ended up just staying. I was having too much fun.
Well, you heard it here first. This is the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia, made by a French chef.
Classically trained.
Classic.
And I'm also a vegan chef, believe it or not.
Do we have anything vegan on the menu?
No, we have a sandwich that is vegetarian special. It's mushrooms, peppers, onions, cheese if you'd like, and roll.
Oh, okay.
Just no meat. It's like, you know.
It's a little vegetable.
My wife Nancy hates when I say it, but it's like having sex without the orgasm.
There's no meat in it. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'll keep it rated G. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So they started with cheesesteaks and onions.
Right.
Now, why just steak and onions? Why steak and onions? No tomatoes? They didn't have tomatoes?
No,
Pat,
he didn't have any of that on a hot dog stand. Right? He didn't have any of that on a hot dog cart. And the steak sandwich was something that he and his family would eat when he was back in Italy, in Abruzzo, Italy. It was like they used to make a bruschetta if they had some, you know, meat back in the 30s was a delicacy. You know, when you had some extra money, even if you lived anywhere, I mean, everything was kind of controlled because of the wars and everything else that was going on, the depression. So on a Sunday in Italy, or a Sunday in a household, any household for that matter, whether it was you were Italian, you were African American, you were Jewish, Polish, you know, meat was a delicacy. So it was something that he would have as a delicacy, and he wanted something to treat himself, and that's how steak sandwich, you know, got to be made that day.
That's insane. In a lot of parts of the world, meat is still considered a delicacy.
It truly is. You know, as an Italian, growing up in an Italian household, you know, despite what I do for a day, we didn't have meat on a daily basis. Was very vegetable centric, you know, in our house. My mother did a lot of cooking with vegetables, and on special occasions, like on a Thursday, would have chicken cutlets, and on Sunday would have a Sunday gravy or Sunday sauce with the meats in it, like a ragu. But not ragu the brand, ragu meaning the actual sauce.
Okay.
And
would she make this herself?
Yeah, everything was made. But I just remember the Catholic church was right down the street from our house, and my mother would get up early in the morning and she'd fry the meatballs, the sausage, braciole, and the pork in pork fat in lard. It was the most amazing smell. And you can't do that now because people, you know,
wow,
you know, they kind of don't shine on the pork fat as much.
I mean, love some pork.
Yeah, listen.
You give me some pork, I'm going to take it every time.
Bacon fat, pork fat. I mean, frying it, you can fry a flip flop in that, or like or a really bad contract, and it would taste good.
Oh, I'll take that. All right, so cheese. You said you added cheese later. Mm-hmm. I did read that this used to be a kosher place.
So my Uncle Pat had a lot of Jewish friends, and we had another store on 33rd Ridge Avenue, Strawberry Mansion. So there they had two separate grills. One he kept for his non-kosher friends, and one he kept for his kosher friends. So everything was separated. So the kosher side, he had a rabbi that sat there, and he would bless the meat, so it was kosher or halal, right, whatever. And on the other side was where they used to put the cheese. We had cheese here. We had it here, and then we took it away because Pat said, no, we're only going to have cheese up there. And then we brought it back probably in the 50s. Yeah. So
went away for a little bit, came back, and was that by customer request?
No, by Pat's design. He was the boss. You know, he said when. You know, he was the boss.
All right, now I think this is the question everybody wants to know. Geno's.
Okay.
What is it like being across from them? And did you know they were going to move there when they did? Did you know it was going to end up being this competition thing between Pat's and Geno's? So,
you know, if you watch the original Rocky movie, there's a scene where Pat Steaks is in it, and you can see Pat's, you can see the church, you can see the building across the street where there was a place called Joe Steaks, and across the street from that was a place called Mike and Carol Steaks. So in the early 60s, Joe Bento, who's not with us anymore, he passed away, worked for Joe Vigilante at Joe Steaks, and then he wanted to open up his own place. My father, grandfather, and uncle were going to buy the building where Geno's is. And it was a blessing that we did, and I'll tell you why. So Joe Bento went over there, and he took over the building, and he opened up Geno's Steaks. and he named it Ginos.
Okay.
And he got asked to change the name by Geno Martelli, who was a football player and owned Geno's Hamburgers. So it was his registered trademark action. So he named the place after his son, Genos. And Geno and I are very dear friends. Joe Vento, my father, Joe Vento's wife Eileen, and my mother Rena Marie were all friends growing up. But when Joe Vento went to work, he and my father were fierce enemies, fierce competitors. And, it was all the rage in the media when he opened up across the street, because you opened up across the street from an icon that's been here for 40-some years.
Yeah.
And they were like, how do you feel about that? My father's like, yeah, I'm not even paying attention to that, blah, blah, blah. And the whole competition thing was something that the media generated. And it perpetuated by my father and Joe Vento being, those guys from the 50s, with the cigarette pack rolled up in their sleeve, kind of like macho men from South Philly. And they fought fiercely. But when they were out to dinner, like they saw each other out to dinner, they used to fight over who was going to pay each other's check.
So they were really
friends, but they were competitors. And, competition is the best thing.
Yeah.
Is the best thing for business, because you have people to come over here and say, oh, Pat's is better, or Geno's is better. And, you have the people online fighting with each other. You have people that go there, grab a steak, and come here and grab a steak. And it's just something that the media perpetuated, and we just ran with it. And, it was, we just let the people do the talking.
Yeah.
And, Geno and I are friends. And, I'm glad he's over there, just as I'm glad I'm over here, because if it wasn't for Geno's, Pat's wouldn't be as busy as it is. And if it wasn't for Pat's, Geno's would not be. Well, Geno's wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Nor Tony Luke's, nor D'Alessandro's,
so
nor Sonny's, nor Jim Steaks.
Exactly. To do it.
If it wasn't for my Uncle Pat,
Agreed.
Everybody that owns a cheesesteak joint now will be selling soft pretzels down at the Wells Fargo Center.
Agreed. That's why I hate when someone says, this cheesesteak isn't done correctly, or this cheesesteak is better, because you guys are the first.
Listen,
you can't compare Michael to any other player. You can't compare Pat's to any other cheesesteak.
No, you can't. I mean, listen, it's we're still using the original recipe, the original ingredients. It hasn't changed. And there are only 3 to 4 people in the city of Philadelphia that still do the original recipe like Pat did it.
Wow.
And I don't have to name them, but I'm telling you, D'Alessandro's is not one. I mean, if you get there and I'm not poo-pooing on D'Alessandro's, they have an amazing business and other places, but there's certain styles of cheesesteaks. We put meat on the grill flat. It's ribeye. It's real ribeye. It's not top brown. It's not anything else.
That's a nice cut.
It's a nice cut. And it's the same meat. It's the same meat if you were going to Del Fresco's, or you would get it. It's a ribeye. It's a real ribeye. So, I mean, that animal gave its life. You have to treat that animal with dignity and respect. You don't need to put that meat on the grill and then feed it with the 2 spatulas until it's in submission. It's already dead. Yeah. So treat it with dignity and respect. Put it on the grill, cook it, flip it over, put it on the bread, serve it. Don't just sit there and chop and beat the meat. It's just no need. There's no need to beat the meat until it doesn't look like ground meat. If you're going to eat a ground meat sandwich,
just get a ground meat sandwich.
Just go buy some hamburger.
Agreed.
Same thing.
Agreed. I like to see my steak personally. I don't like shredded meats. You never know where shredded meats come from. I like to see my
exactly. Like if you're going to get meat, you're going to put it in a food processor, and you're going to form it, and you're going to freeze it, and you're going to slice it, and you're going to portion it out between paper and put exactly 4, 6, 8 ounces on it. Like what is that? Like that's like McDonald's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like fast food. I don't eat. The only thing I eat frozen is the ice cream that I make and the meat from my store. Everything else. Ice cream that I make, everything else that I eat, I have a freezer in my house. It's a drawer. It's a little sub-zero drawer. Everything else I make, when I say come over to my house for pasta, it's because I break out the flour, I get the eggs. Everything I eat is like that. So my Uncle Pat, my father, my grandfather always said, if you won't serve it to your family and your children, you shouldn't sell it. Yeah. And that's the way I still feel. I wouldn't give this to my friends and family. There's no way I would sell it.
Wow, that's big. I mean,
it's big.
So, at any point, are we going to have ice cream, maybe some of this pasta that you create, come to pass?
No, we had an ice cream machine here years ago, and it just didn't. There were a lot of things we had here years ago that we had over the years. We used to sell slices of watermelon in the summer. We had corn on the cob, amazing corn on the cob. We had egg rolls. We had Italian sausage. We had milkshakes. People don't want that.
They want the steak.
They want steak sandwiches. We still have hot dogs because we started with hot dogs. And our hot dogs are great. We deep fry the hot dogs. It's amazing. We still have potato fish cod cakes because there are some Catholics out there that don't eat meat on Wednesdays and Fridays
Very
during
true.
Lent, and there's maybe one or two out there. We still sell them.
I mean, personally, my wife, she does the same thing. I don't do it. I eat it.
Some days I come in here and I want that poor man's surf and turf. I'll deep fry a hot dog with a fish cake. I'll squish it. I'll put raw onions on it. Put Golden's mustard, brown mustard on it. It's like heaven.
A fish cake with a hot dog.
With fish cake with a hot dog. It's like there was a place over here on South 6th Street, a very famous place, and they had the oldest soda fountain in the country. It was called Levitz's Hot Dogs. And they sold a hot dog fish cake combination there, and they were there since the 20s. And that's where my Uncle Pat got the idea. And he did it over here, and he did it at all his places. He had 4 going at once, and we still have it here. The poor man's surf and turf.
Wow.
We'll sell a lot of them. But if you know, you know.
Yeah, you know. That's a Philly staple right there from the original Pat's Cheesesteaks. All right, so let's see here. So you mentioned Geno's.
Okay.
And it's a he.
Yeah.
So this might sound a little crazy, but hear me out here.
Yeah.
What would it take to get you and Geno center right here in the corner? Let's get a ring out here. Get you both in there.
To do what?
To do whatever you want.
The fight?
Box.
No. Listen. Let me full disclosure here. All the cheesesteak guys in Philadelphia, we're all friends. We go to dinner, we talk, we see each other out. Geno, Tony Luke, Joe from Joe's Steaks, Ken Silver from Geno's. Can't wait till his place is built up again. Unfortunately, it burned down. I was out of town, so it wasn't me. I called Ken right away. I said, Ken, anything I can do to help you? Because we're all friends. We're all in it together. It's like, when you're in a certain business, chefs have camaraderie amongst chefs. Realtors have a camaraderie amongst realtors. To give and take. I got somebody for you. You got somebody for me. You share information, whatever. But we're all friends. So to get Geno and I in together, we're just going to hug.
Okay.
Because we're all friends.
That's fun. That's really good. That's good to hear. Because a lot of people would think that there's this beef, this competition, and it's great to hear that at the end of the day, it's just good, fun business.
It's all, we're all friends. It's all good stuff.
Nice. So, shipping nationwide now.
Shipping nationwide. So we started shipping nationwide about a year before the pandemic hit. So I was adamantly against it. My wife Nancy said to me, we need to do this gold belly thing. But first, it was preceded by Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash. So we started doing that, and I never wanted to do that because my predecessors never wanted to do that. And I was always nervous about the quality of the item once it reached there. So we started doing some test stuff with Gold Belly, shipping it out to friends and family around the country. And, it ships well, it does well. And we were one of the first people in Philadelphia to sign up with Gold Belly. So basically, you go online, you order Gold Belly, and it is expensive. I'm not going to say it isn't. But to get the theater of, a Chicago pizza, a Viennese hot dog from Chicago, French dip from California, a cheesesteak from Philadelphia, whether it's of my place or one of my competitors, or a roast pork from John's Roast Pork, or a jiggly cheesecake from someplace, or babka from New York, or, to get that experience, it's priceless. If you're somewhere else in the country and you're from that area, from New York, and you can't get a corned beef sandwich, and you can get that, and you're from Philadelphia, and, and you live in LA or something, and the Eagles are playing in LA or whatever, and you want to have like a Philly-centric party, you can order a cheesesteak. We ship them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They arrive the next morning. We ship them frozen. They're made fresh every week.
Next morning.
The next morning.
So that's why Amazon.
No, we have Gold Belly does it. It's shipped via UPS. So that's why it's terribly expensive, because of the shipping cost and the weight of the sandwich, which is packed on ice. And when I'm down in Florida for an extended period of time, I have them ship them down to me, and it basically tastes just like if you came out one night and you had one and you took one home and you stuck it in the refrigerator, and you woke up the next morning. It's the breakfast of champions.
That's amazing. That's great, because Pat's is really the best cheesesteak in the world.
See, I never said it.
Hey,
everybody else says it.
Hey, you don't have to say it. When you are the originator, you're the best in the world. You're the first to do it. You got to be the best. I'm give you your flowers now. Man.
All right. Well, you can't make the wheel. You can't make the wheel any more round. It's perfect the way it is.
Exactly.
So everybody has their interpretation of a Philly cheesesteak, whether it's, Barclay Prime, you can get one with some kind of crazy Wagyu meat and some crazy, amazing cheese on it and a split of champagne. Is it worth $150?
Taxes. So franchise. Would you ever think about a franchise?
No comment.
No comment.
No comment right now.
Okay, so
No
a
comment.
no comment says you might be thinking about it. So
We had my father's cousin Herb, who was Pat's son, franchise years ago, and unfortunately for them, it didn't pan out right because I think the operation was unsuccessful for many reasons. I think it could have been the time, and I think probably mismanagement on the people that he was working with. But I think probably in the future you might be able to see Pat Steaks throughout the country, college campuses.
And would we get a bit of a McDonald's structure? Would you allow the consumers to get in on opening up a Pat's, or would this be all you?
Listen, I'm 58 years old. I've been working a long time, and I think it's not time to sit back now and let somebody else enjoy the spoils.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And the 18-hour work days.
So there was something online that I saw. Just wanted to ask because there were a bunch of comments. Ed Rendell, is he part owner in Pat's? Is he majority owner? Like what's the situation?
It's so funny. I googled myself the other day. I was curious what the internet said about my net worth. I don't know why. I'm probably worth more dead than I am alive anyway. So I came across that article that said that Ed Rendell bought Pat Steaks for $4 million.
Yeah.
And I do remember that was about 10 years that article was written. And I just found it so comical to read it once again. But if you look at the date that it was written, it was April Fool's.
Interesting.
So although Ed and I are, Mr. Rendell and I are friendly and have been friends for many, many years. I actually catered his inaugural ball twice when he was governor. Went out to Harrisburg. He is not an owner. But Mr. Rendell, you're more than welcome. It's a lot more than $4 million now.
Hey, you hear that? Price went up.
Price went up.
There is a gotcha at the end of the article, but there are comments under there, and people seem to take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, people took it pretty seriously. People, had a lot of Republicans calling me, I'm not coming to your store anymore because, you sold to a Democrat. I'm like, listen, this island, we are politically neutral. Everybody's green. If there's a green political party, that's who we support.
Well,
actually, I would say gold because it's more like the color of cheese. We support the Cheese Whiz party.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. We got one last question. This guy's busy. Gave me more than enough time. I gotta ask: pinball machines.
Yeah.
Why so many? Did you get to keep these machines? Like, what's the story behind it?
So, I always loved pinball machines, and I was going through a divorce, and I started buying a couple of different things. One of which were pinball machines. I found the guy. Pinball Pin Rescue up in Southampton. Another guy, TNT Todd, and I bought some vintage pinball machines off of both of those guys, and I bought a couple special editions.
Now, are these an investment or are these more just fun?
It was, I have an office on the corner over here where I do my book work, and we were doing like cheesesteak and pizza parties for like friends and stuff like that. So we come in and order a couple pizzas, bring some cheesesteak and some cheese fries over, and you just sit and play old school pinball machines from like 1967 to like newer ones from like 2007.
Wow. 8. Well, I'm terrible at pinball, so if you invite me, don't count on me being any use to any bets or anything going on.
Listen, I was born in 1964, so I'm the last year of the baby boomers. So I think that I think my generation is the last generation of the pinball.
It's a
wizards.
lost start.
It's a lost start. I mean, does anybody? I mean, pinball machines don't take Apple Pay.
That's true.
So you have to
gotta put
remember
a quarter
what
in.
Quarters are. But mine are free. But I don't know if the younger generation even knows what a quarter is.
I don't know if there's still quarters out there, man. Like they're still getting rid of them.
I don't know. I go to this one produce place on Long Beach Island, and they give out 50-cent pieces because they don't want to give out 2 quarters. I think it's easier for the younger kids to count.
Good God. Good God. This is where we are.
They can't even tell time on an analog watch.
Well, good God. Well, here's the thing. It was great talking to you, Frank. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you for coming out here. For those who want to interview Frank,
my father.
This is his dad, firecracker of a man. He wants us to get out of here. They got stuff to do. Frank's a great guy. Again, come out here to Pat's, best cheesesteak in the world. Frank's always out here, and he'll be happy to see you.
Thank you very much, and best of luck to you.
Thank
Knock 'em
you.
dead, and remember,
Buyer
disclose, buyer beware, disclose, and location.
Agreed. Well, that wraps us up. Tune into the Down Money Show, where if you're talking real estate, you're talking down money.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was one of the best interviews I ever did.
Well, great. I mean,
Yeah, you were a great interview, dude. Anytime you want me back on, I'll come.